The concept started with the originators of Luxoflux, Peter Morwick and Adrian Stevens. And they came up with the idea that they wanted to do an action movie game.
We really wanted to do characters and action. So we were looking for an angle on how to marry the two genres. And at that time, my wife and I were into these LA Private Eye novels by Robert Grace, the Joe Pike series. And suddenly it sort of occurred to me that there really hasn't been a successful take on sort of a contemporary cop genre in video games. And it really appealed to me, and I brought it to the guys and we discussed it and we really liked it. So we pitched it to Activision, the publisher, and they liked it as well, so here we are.
I think every game starts out, you know, trying to do something innovative and something special. And it takes the right people and the right time and the right idea to make that happen.
They call it the City of Angels. Funny, in my 30 years here, I haven't seen a single one. What happened to Henry was a true crime. And if there's one man who deserves to find out the truth, it's his son. This is his story.
Nick King as a character is an ex-cop who's known for his not-so-subtle ways.
You've picked the wrong party to crash, jackass. Here comes a lead enema.
Nick's dad was a cop, and they don't know exactly where he is at this point. You know, Nick wasn't very happy about his upbringing in Hong Kong because he was effectively, you know, a half-breed in Hong Kong. You know, he's half American, half Chinese, and now he's back in LA where, you know, it's totally accepted, but there he was shunned and had to fight for his independence.
Growing up as an orphan would screw with anybody's head.
Come on, everyone's had it tough. So what?
Nah, not like Nick. First, his mother died. She was a dear soul. Then, his father, Henry, got fingered in a drug trafficking scandal and simply disappeared.
When Nick comes back from suspension, he's brought back to take a job at this new EOD division, which is a special unit which has been set up to sort of tackle the most difficult and toughest cases in the city. Trouble is brewing in Chinatown, and he's being brought back to take care of it.
Well, Nick is designed after the quintessential Hong Kong Hollywood action character.
He's a very traditional, no-nonsense kind of cop.
Step away from the barkeep.
You have a death wish?
I'm gonna make you scream like a cat in heat.
Obviously, he has no patience with politics and things like that, and that's bound to get a guy in trouble.
You know, even when authority is telling him to do it this way, he just says, well, as long as the objective is accomplished.
Hey, Chief, who's the suit?
Nick, this is Agent in Charge Masterson from the FBI. Seems that they had the spa under surveillance when you...
When you pulled your John Wayne stunt and blew it all to hell. We've been working on this for weeks, Kang.
Sorry, sitting around stuffy vans eating donuts cramps my style. You want this, Rocky? Let me show this around and see if I get any takers.
You telling me you know someone who can ID this guy?
Maybe. An arms dealer out in Venice Beach, a real piece of work. Done business with Russians for years. If there's trouble, then he's in it.
Whoa, whoa, pal. I'm running this up now, and you don't so much as take a leak unless I say so.
Speaking of which, Masterson, your fly's open.
Nick is not really a traditional video game hero. I think he's got a sense of seriousness, but at the same time, lightheartedness about him that I think people like.
He has a love relationship with all women in the game. He wants to be a player, but he's not. And he comes in guns a-blazing and then says, hey, how you doing? And it just doesn't work.
Hey, Rosie, say hello to the poster child against inbreeding, Jimmy Fu.
And I suppose that would make you the poster child for anger management?
He's not just a rogue, wild cop. He also has his family side. He has his brother in the game.
Like into retirement.
Leave my brother out of this.
Nick has a wide assortment of cool toys. He has very fast cars. Players will want to be Nick because he's extremely athletic. He can drive fast. He can do things that people can only wish to do when they're in a bad situation.
The biggest challenge with this game in general is just to try and realize a city as big as Los Angeles. To store a triangle for every single facet of every single building and every single road, tree, piece of ground was just unfeasible. The plan to build the city out of splines and patches, basically procedural geometry, was an idea that I came up with when we first started this, and we weren't sure if we were really going to be able to do it. It had never been tried before.
Once we realized that the GPS data was available publicly, we had to learn a lot about the format of that data and how we can crunch that data into something usable by the game.
We used a variety of resources to really come up with this accurate LA, GPS data, topographical maps, and even satellite images to really recreate Los Angeles as it stands now. We have variations in subdivisions, neighborhoods going from the wealthy Beverly Hills area to the sort of seedy, shady Hollywood suburbs. So really, we've done a really good job of accurately portraying Los Angeles as it stands today.
Much of the data is actually generated on the fly, meaning that polygons or triangles that are drawn aren't actually existing in a static form. We basically say, we have a road that has this curvature and this type, and we generate the data required to draw that on the screen real time.
It'll make sure that at least half a mile around you is always there.
It's a real-time GPS system. You could be playing the game, your girlfriend could call you on the phone and go, oh my God, I'm lost. And rather than going to the computer and doing the typical, pull up the website that has the maps on it, you're like, well, I'm in True Crime Streets of LA. Let me just go ahead and drive down to where you are. Where are you? You're on the corner of where?
Some of the cars have hundreds of parts to them. And there are parts that can be damaged, that will fall off the car, and you'll be able to drive this car in almost undrivable conditions in real life.
Yeah? So sue me. Gonna see you right back.
We created a set of cars that, they're supposed to look realistic, but we designed them sort of from scratch. We took the visual cues from what those vehicles would be and designed something completely new.
You can run through a shootout, and when that guy drops that AK-47, you flip it up into your hand, and now you've got a pistol in your right hand and an AK in the other. Additionally, when you grab those two, as an example, you have a shotgun in your left hand and an AK-47 in your right, each arm targets independently. So you can take out two targets at once. So if you're flying forward and there's a target to your left and to your right, and the shotgun side is closer, you're going to blast that guy while strafing the guy to your right with the AK-47. It allows you to really plan how you're going to go out and attack. Sometimes it's run and gun, and sometimes it's, sneak around and try to hide because those guys have badass weapons. Try to pick up the weapon. Heck, two shotguns running around with two sawed-offs with guys coming at you. You're blasting people left and right. It's very Hong Kong cinema inspired.
Basically, one of my main focuses is Destructibles, or as a lot of gamers like to call it, crap that blows up.
Boom, bada boom!
Our destruction for the interiors is pretty fairly complex. It's really intense stuff. I mean, it's fighting that I don't think gamers are used to.
You can upgrade your set weapons and your set skills based on earning enough points to enter these these training facilities, 24/7 locations.
As you leave the EOD on some of your missions, as you're driving down the street, you will find locations where that'll be highlighted. That won't be based on your mission, but if you run into them, you will find yourself either in a shooting range or a driving slalom course, where you will be able to expand your capabilities as a driver or as a shooter.
One of the things that I am in particular excited about in this game is really our continuous branching storyline. A few years back, the video game establishment sort of declared the death of the fusion of Hollywood and video games, and it was a bummer. So really what I try to do here with True Crime is to create a game that's very playable, that doesn't really lose much in terms of playability, yet still gives the player enough of narrative and story to keep it really interesting and to keep the player engrossed and give him the suspense of disbelief. And ultimately we have 3 very different paths in the story and 3 very different endings. So there is multiple ways of playing this game, and the greatest thing about it really is that even the unseasoned player who's not very good will get enough of a game here, will get enough of an experience to enjoy himself.
You'll definitely get different cinematics based on different outcomes of what you've done in the game.
Jimmy, this had better check out.
Stop busting my balls, man! I'm being straight with you!
That's a good boy. Hey, Rosie, say hello to the poster child against inbreeding, Jimmy Fu.
And I suppose that would make you the poster child for anger management?
Likewise, if it's raining in a cinematic at that time of day and the cinematic takes place outside, then it's raining outside when that cinematic's taking place.
The most challenging, I think, might have been the nightclub scene, because there's a lot of stuff going on in there. It's a little more technical, I think, than some of the other environments. Got rotating lights, and a disco ball, which is sort of reflecting lights all over the place.
Hey, Dick, I give the music a 3. No lyrics and you can't dance to it.
Well, like all of the other things in the game, we really wanted to bring a really legitimate sort of voice or spoken word to the game, and we did this through hiring some amazing voiceover talent, including Christopher Walken.
You got yourself a new partner?
And Gary Oldman.
You keep turning up like a bad $2 bill, Detective King.
CCH Pounder, you might know her from The Shield.
Nick, this is Agent in Charge Masterson from the FBI.
We also have Michael Madsen, who plays an old cop buddy of your dad.
Your father. When he got into trouble with internal affairs, I promised him I'd watch out for his boys.
We have Michelle Rodriguez, who plays your partner, who gets, injured early on in the story and ends up being your helper the whole way through.
I don't mean any disrespect, but why Nick? The guy's nuts.
Once we've got all the voiceover collected, I take that and I take our character models and our environments, which have been provided by the other people working on the game, and I coalesce all those into what's called a rough animatic. That's basically a very rough animation of each individual cutscene. And once we've got that set, we take those and bring them to the motion capture studio, where we rehearse with our actors and get them acquainted with each scene. And then we record all the animation data. We get it back, and then I take it and integrate it back into the animatic file. Make sure that the movements line up, that the cameras are properly framing every individual actor, and that everything basically works as it should. What we wind up with at that point is rough motion captured animation, which is broad bodily movements. We don't have fingers or facial expressions or lip sync at that point, or eye animation. So it gets handed off to another set of animators who basically go in and animate the characters, breathe life into them, add emotions to their face, add the lip sync, add eye movements and hand movements, and any other work that needs to be done. And that's the basic pipeline.
You've picked the wrong party to crash, jackass.
All of the products will be essentially the same on all of the platforms. We're paying very special attention to each platform to use the abilities of those platforms. So, for example, on the Xbox right now, we're actually already running 720p 16:9 progressive scan HD. So, to really taking special attention, you can rip your tracks for the Xbox. You have bump mapping on the Cube as well as the Xbox. We've effectively combined the feeling of a Hong Kong action movie with American sensibilities, including all of the things that gamers really want: driving, fighting, shooting, stealth, you name it. This game has got it.
Essentially what we did was we brought the entire game from the console to the PC. But what we wanted to do was not just make it a port of a console game. We wanted to make it a PC game that could stand on its own. So what we did was we added certain enhancements to the game. Higher resolutions, brand new songs, new skins, full-on multiplayer mode for up to 4 players, 5 different modes of gameplay, things that really would speak to the PC player. Multiplayer mode is going to have 5 different modes of gameplay. Each one sort of concentrates on an essence of true crime: driving, fighting, and shooting. We have street racing, which is essentially your Fast and the Furious, drive against your friends in the middle of the night, anywhere in the city that you want. We also have Dojo Master, which concentrates on the fighting martial arts aspects of the game, where you and again 3 of your buddies can fight free for all. You can fight in teams, you can fight one against all, see who the last man standing is. Then there's also Battle Master, which is like Dojo Master but with weapons. And for that, we have actually added new weapons to the game. We've added the rocket launcher, because a PC game isn't a PC game without a rocket launcher in it. The baseball bat for those up close and personal moments, and the crossbow for all you Snake Plissken fans out there. In addition, we've added police chase, which is basically cops and robbers. One person is the suspect, everyone else are the cops, and they have to chase them down within X amount of time, or at least be within arrest range in order to win. Then there's the beat, and the beat emphasizes the random crime elements that you see in the true crime single-player game. It's you against competing cops, your buddies, and racking up shield points. Whoever bags the most collars ends up being top cop. One of the things that we did to differentiate it from just a port is completely remap the controls for a PC game. What we wanted to do was make a control configuration that PC gamers knew would instantly feel comfortable with. Right, we felt that the PC gamer was more of a rock-oriented crowd than the console gamer, so we added 32 new rock, heavy metal, punkish-based songs ranging from Alice in Chains to Queensryche to the Distillers to the Genitorturers. Well, one of the things that we wanted to do was bring some of that console flavor to the PC, so we added 8 brand new skins to True Crime based on what we're calling loosely the Activision All-Stars. You'll see characters like Ricky Maru and Ayame from Tenchu. You'll see the Airborne Soldier from Call of Duty. We also had brand new exclusive ones like our Gunslinger, and what's turning out to be everyone's favorite, which is the Sandwich Guy, which is basically a man in a large sandwich costume running around the city with a pair of guns dispensing justice.
Definitely very satisfying to having an end result after you've been working on something for a year or two. Have the end result of a CD in a box on a shelf, and also to create worlds where you can move around and feel like you've really created something.
Certainly on that scale, recreating a real city with streets and all its detail. I think it's the first time that I've ever seen it in a video game.
Watch shots and beach heat, hot rocks on every block, cold killers on each street, danger on every corner, scum at every turn.
This is something that's very cool to us. It's always been very dear to us, and you tend to really pay a lot of attention and take a lot of care of, you know, your baby effectively, and all of these people care for this product like it's their child.
The crime, if you can't do the time, stay pushing the line in the paint on the grind, play the game for keeps, not for fun, all alone with your peeps or one-on-one, cause I don't do the crime if I can't do the time, I stay pushing the line in the paint on the grind, I play the game for keeps, not for fun, all alone with my peeps or one-on-one, it's true crime. True crime.
With True Crime New York City, we wanted to remove it from the more juvenile humor that we had in True Crime Streets of LA. We don't have dragons anymore. We wanted to give the audience more of a mature flavored game. We really wanted it to be like watching a crime drama on TV. The Shield, CSI, The Wire, good story, good VO, more serious tone. One of the issues that we had with True Crime Streets of LA was the player would end up roaming around the city and not really being focused on the main storyline. They could go off, solve random crimes, but we never really pulled them back into the main plotline. With True Crime New York City, we constantly pull the player back into the main story arc through our informant missions, through some of the random crimes. They always lead you back. You're always getting phone calls or over the radio from your chief or your FBI contacts telling you to get back on track and focus on the main story. So you are left to do whatever you want, but you're constantly reminded that you're there for a reason. The story takes place in New York City. We are map accurate to the island of Manhattan, so all the city streets are exactly how they are in Manhattan. The story is about Marcus Reed, who is an undercover organized crime police officer. You start off as a thug, basically, and you work your way up into the organized crime unit by being a beat cop for 4 years. At that time, you are taken in by a family friend who's pretty much your mentor throughout the story. We have one main story, and there are 4 leads that you can take while investigating the main storyline, and each one of them has a separate subplot to it. The driving's tighter, easier to pick up and play. The targeting's easier. The fighting styles are, you don't have to learn the fighting styles the way you did in the first one. You can just go to a shop and buy them. Makes it much easier. We have more fighting styles, more weapons, more cars. Recognizable locations: Chrysler Building, Empire State Building, Statue of Liberty, the Cage. We are not building accurate. That would be impossible to replicate every single building down to the front doors. Speaking of doors, in True Crime New York City, you can go into any interior in the game, walk up to the door, open the door, and walk in. There's over 2,000 doors in the city that you can walk into, with over 200 various interiors that you could happen into. Random crimes will happen within these interiors. Perpetrators will run from outside into these modular interiors to run away. They will also run out of the interior onto the city streets. Load times are very fast going into these interiors, and it just breaks it up, the gameplay, a little bit more. We have a grit system in place. When you start the game, all of Manhattan, it's color-coded. It starts off red and it makes its way to green as you clean up the city. What this does, by cleaning up the city, it allows you access to other stores. In a high-crime zone, the stores will have a very limited window when they're open. They open late and they close early. You'll be able to buy new outfits, new hairstyles. Music stores will have tracks that aren't available at the opening of the game. New cars, new paint jobs for your cars, and all this is done by cleaning up the city. It also, the cars will become nicer. The people won't be as seedy. It rains more when it's a heavy crime. And we just paint the picture of it's a heavy crime-ridden area. You don't want to be here. It's rainy. There's dirt everywhere. People are mean. The cars are rusty. And as you clean up the city, all that changes. The sun comes out, nicer cars. The stores are open longer. Just an overall feeling of you've cleaned up the city.
And it's important to clean it up. One, to complete the game to 100%, you have to clean up the entire island of Manhattan. And it's important for the player as it allows them access to better outfits, better hair, better music, better weapons, more fighting styles. So it's a pretty important part of the game.
We chose New York City because it's a place that's known for having a really broad range, from the sewers to the tallest skyscrapers in the world. Manhattan is really broken up into a lot of very distinctive subsections, like Chinatown, Harlem, East Harlem, which is in many ways very different than itself. Of course, some of the ritzier neighborhoods, parts of Midtown, Wall Street, so you'll see a lot of people in their business suits, and Washington Heights, Inwood. So some of these coastal cities, they also have their own particular, not only geometry and types of building, but the characters that populate those places as well.
The storyline is based around Marcus, and Marcus being the lead character. He finds himself in the position where his friend and mentor, Terry Higgins, is killed.
Don't owe me nothing. Marcus, I helped raise you, and this is not how I expect to be repaid.
And then the character played by Christopher Walken, who's called Gabriel Whiting, comes by and says, look, I've got some evidence.
We figured there's got to be a mole in the department. Detective Higgins was onto something. There's obviously a conspiracy at play, a setup. I believe you can help me find out who's behind it.
So Marcus has to go ahead and take a look at these leads and try to figure out which of these crime organizations was involved potentially in the murder of Terry.
And that's the catch. You got to do this alone outside of your official duties.
You can play it so that you're a bad cop, where you're doing a lot of bad things, not arresting people. You're actually beating up people, you're killing people.
There are consequences for being bad. If you decide to be a bad cop, you're not going to be able to rank up through the police department. It makes it easier to complete the game, in my opinion, if you play as a good cop.
New York Police!
We're allowing you to have a basic set of moves, but we're also allowing you to learn different styles as you progress through the game.
Each fighting technique has its disadvantages and its advantages. For example, brawling are quick hits in succession, but the disadvantages, the damage points inflict on your enemy, are not that heavy. But if you have like wushu, which is a really powerful type of kung fu, those damage points are extremely powerful. However, the time to pull off those moves takes a little bit longer, meaning your enemy can get in a few punches and cause damage to you. You could have karate, which is kind of like the happy medium, where you can pull off the moves pretty quickly and you score some pretty good damage points. Thai boxing is a really cool one as well. The damage points are slightly higher than, let's say, karate. Taekwondo is another one that I prefer to use. You're pulling off the moves pretty quickly. The damage points are slightly higher than karate, but a little bit lower than, let's say, Thai boxing.
Some police issue weapons that you can use in the game. There's like the beanbag shotgun, and that'll knock someone out right away with one shot. There's also the taser, which is kind of cool because you do this like electrical effect on someone. Some of the melee weapons that we have in the game are like daggers, sais, katanas. There's also blunt melee weapons such as like a baseball bat or a sledgehammer or a bow. And each of them will have their own unique animations when you wield them. Another one of the powerful weapons in the game is the flamethrower, the rocket launcher, the rotary cannon. One of the easy ways to attack like our shooting missions, you can use precision aim, which you can target people's specific body parts. So if you want to take a guy out with one bullet, aim for his head. That'll take him down right away. I think one of the other most powerful weapons in the game is actually the environment itself.
I mean, nearly everything in our environments is destructible.
also introduced the concept of environmental hazard. These objects allow the player to punish the enemy.
If you destroy a chair, you can actually pick up the chair leg and hit people with it.
In True Crime New York, everything goes with a big bang.
The variety of vehicles that we have varied from things such as coupes, hot rods, feeder cars, to motorcycles, to buses. Pretty much anything you'd want to drive, we have in our game. One of our big goals for this game was to make the cars feel totally different, from driving a truck to driving a taxi to driving a little putt-putt coupe, and I think we really were successful in achieving that. One of the bad aspects of living in New York, as most people would probably know, is that driving is not the formal mode of operation. One quick way to get around is to hop into a subway, take a train to go from one point to the other, or hop in a taxi and tell him where to go.
Police! Get your ass on the floor! Now! The Magdalenas are over!
I could arrest you right now. Marcus is a tough guy. I'm a gaming fanatic, and I really enjoyed playing the first one. And the opportunity to be a part of this one, which is bigger and better than the first one by leaps and bounds, it was a no-brainer for me.
You been looking after my boy, Dad? Seems my boy is no longer just a pawn.
Congratulations, son. Life's full of ironies.
My name is Lawrence Fishburne, and I play a character named Isaiah Reed in True Crime New York City. My character is essentially a crime boss who's been incarcerated for the better part of 15 years, who still maintains his power, still pulls the strings, as it were, from his very, very special prison cell somewhere outside of New York City. Here's a guy who is really bright and has chosen this path that, although it's illegal, has allowed him to live a really, really wonderful lifestyle. But it also comes at a price, which is he's been incarcerated for over 15 years, and he has to basically, exist in a very little space. But he's a powerful guy. And I think there's a part of me that may be attracted to playing powerful men. I said yes to this game because Christopher Walken's involved. I was very pleased to find out that my other friend, Esai Morales, is playing one of the parts. And also, Dennis Franz, who's, another actor who I love and a friend. This sort of convergence of games and films, sort of games and films coming together, is kind of a organic thing in a way, because of the technology. It just seems like it's like the next step logically, depending upon what the story is and the way that you want to tell the story and the way that a story can evolve, that it can be quite exciting if a game and a film sort of overlap. Sometimes. I don't think that's always going to be the case. I have to say that part of what has attracted me to this particular game is definitely its popularity, but it's also because the game itself takes place in the New York City that I kind of grew up in. And it's also an opportunity to kind of explore what this medium is going to be like for actors, because, this is a medium that really only athletes have really sort of explored in a really kind of in-depth way. And now it seems like actors are getting the opportunity to kind of dabble in it. And I just want to you know, see what I can bring to it and kind of see where it takes me.
I'll be seeing you.
Marcus, I'm trying to help you here. Crime's been on the rise all over the city.
For me, I got very invested in the story, and for me, very invested in how Marcus is going to turn out. Is he going to be okay?
Relax, it's plainclothes duty. You get to keep your shield, as long as you play nice.
Yes, ma'am.
It's the last time I'm saving your ass, so you'd better do exactly as they say, or you're on your own forever.
All right, man.
Remember, it's your responsibility. Comprende?
You got it, Vic.
The thing about gaming that I really like is that it keeps you wanting to do better.
Oh, for Christ's sakes, Terry, how hard is it to shoot a target?
I have a very common problem, it seems. Perhaps if you take care of my needs, I'll make it worth your while.
What I really like about this character is that the dialogue is very punchy, it's very witty.
Aren't you an eager beaver? I like that.
Hey, friends, over here. Be quick. These dogs don't talk to me no more. Oh, True Crime is a good game. Go on your own. Zeke will help. Zeke knows this place.
Perhaps I should just go home, kick off my shoes, have a nice cup of cocoa. For the past 2 years, I've been working with the OCU trying to take down New York's top crime syndicates. But things always go wrong.
What kind of place is this, man? Look like something out of a movie or some shit.
Yo, this shit is crazy. That's how I mean by it's no limitations, man. Anything that you walk in, you could take a character and he could touch it or you could fuck him up with it.
Red going wild, bitch, let's go. Yo, Money, you ain't shit. And I'm kicking foot in your ass right now. Yo, is there a doctor in the house? Besides me? Anybody got any chronic? Any purple haze, any side diesel? True Crime, New York City.
All right, well, we've got this really cool mode of the game, and what it is it's an Easter egg for players. When they finish the game, they unlock this mode of play, where they get to actually play as Redman.
Yo, my name is Redman. Yo, the name is Red. Now fuck your crew up. I'm playing Redman in the game True Crime. Word. It's about to get real ugly up in this bitch.
Basically, the gist of it is that Redman wakes up in Battery Park in southern Manhattan.
Yo, where the fuck am I?
And everyone in the city is hostile and out to get him. And he's got to get out of Manhattan and back to Jersey, where he's from.
Yo, I'm just trying to get back to Jersey, for real. Just back up, yo.
All the while having to fight all these people that are trying to kill him, avoid them, jump in cars, whatever he can do to make it out of Manhattan. When you're playing as Redman, he's a really humorous guy, so a lot of his VO has a humorous bent to it.
You know what? Gingivitis is the #1 cause of tooth decay with your smelly ass.
But he is also, in a lot of ways, like, you know, fuck Manhattan, I gotta get out of here, this is bullshit.
Yo, why all the fucked up shit gotta happen in the NY?
It's a cool prize for the player, I think, in that it's just total, complete mayhem. When you're playing in the Redman Gone Wild mode, one of the main things that you want to try and do is try and find weapons and health packs that are spread throughout the city so that you can defend yourself, basically.
Anybody got some meds for a brother? What the fuck is a meds?
Your whole goal is to survive, and when you start off, you don't have very much in the way of weapons or anything.
This is all I got is a cap gun? Fuck that. I might as well pee on these motherfuckers.
So just exploring while also trying to fend off these attackers and finding weapons.
Ha! This is what the fuck I needed right here. Some big shit!
And Most of the cars, they'll already be damaged.
Hey, what the fuck is this? A 1.0? I might as well walk to the bridge.
But there are a couple of Redman special cars that will be spread throughout the city.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. Fat cat whip, big dog style.
One of the big payoffs for Redman, for finishing this Redman Gone Wild mode, is unlocking the outfit that Redman is wearing that you can use in the main game. When you're playing as Marcus Reed, you'll be able to wear the Redman outfit.
Fuck that, the bridge is over, bitches. Yo, you can hold it.
You don't have to be justified in any of your actions.
I seen the last True Crimes game. This Project True Crime, they broke the limit.
This is kind of like a fun little alter reality.
Once you see Times Square, once you see how you can walk in any store, and once you see how you can catch the train and go uptown and get off in Harlem and see the streets, yo, motherfuckers gonna lose their mind, man.
New York's a melting pot of people. There's a lot of diverse people. You've got different ethnicities, creeds, colors, etc. We wanted to make sure that we kind of captured that in the storyline.
It really felt like a natural place to really build a story.
In True Crime New York City, we've got 4 major cases that Marcus has to solve in order to figure out who Terry, his mentor's killer, is. The Magdalena Cartel, which is the first major case that you take on.
The Magdalena Cartel is the city's prime coke syndicate. Even conservative estimates have these guys running 75% of the 5 boroughs' flow.
And basically in that one, you're trying to work your way up through the cartel to find the head of the organization in order to get this information out of them. It takes you through a lot of twists and turns, and there's some really cool gameplay in there.
Police, get your ass on the floor, now! The Magdalenas are over!
Magdalena!
Oh, the Mafia, La Cosa Nostra, organized crime, the mob. Whatever you call them, these guys owned New York City for years.
The Palermo mob is run by a new Don, this guy Vincent Tuzzi, who he's an educated guy, so he runs his operation much more business-like than other mob organizations might be run.
Who's your contact over at OCU?
The same people who were supposed to take care of you, asshole. Then they pay enough cash to make sure fucks like you stayed out of my business.
Who did you pay? Yo, freeze!
Another one of the major cases is the President's Club.
The President's Club. I always thought it sounded like a supermarket promotion, but Central Intelligence calls them the fastest rising outfit in town.
They're actually led by a guy who uses the alias Benjamin Franklin, who enjoys the irony of the fact that he runs the organization and Ben Franklin was never actually a president. Ben Franklin is actually a guy named Lionel Jones. He went to Japan, where he got involved with some people over there in the drug trade. Lionel Jones used the drug contacts that he had made in Japan and the money that he made to come back to the States and form Zen Empire Records.
Yo, Mr. Jones, we got an intruder up on the roof. In my garden, no one fucks with my Zen. I'll be back to handle you personally.
Ready to take on New York's most powerful Chinese gang? Oh, China, you know, you really should go one day. You haven't lived until you've eaten out in China. Just watch out for the crabs. Little joke, son.
The Tong has a new leader, Leland Shen.
What makes you think I'm in the souvenir trade, homie?
Yo, let's not fuck around, Leland, alright? Word on the street is you trying to get in the door up in Harlem.
Well, maybe so, but selling my merchandise takes a special kind of skill set. You know what
Leland has gotten the Tong involved in the slave trade, pretty much done away with the honor and tradition that the Tong once had in pursuit of his dream.
Fuck you all, man! Freeze! Out of the way!
Marcus, with information from Agent Whiting, goes forward to try and track down the heads of these 4 organizations.
Everybody on the fucking...
Going undercover, you'll have to make sacrifices. You have to understand that your life as a regular cop, a regular person, is over.
True Crime, it's a game we've seen before. What are you guys bringing different to it with the Hong Kong version?
It is a game we've seen before. This is going to be the 3rd game in the True Crime franchise, and Mike and I and the rest of the team at United Front have approached it like a new IP.
We've treated it as a reboot. So basically, we took the concept of an undercover cop in Hong Kong and we just focused everything on that, right, without paying much attention to what happened in the past. So keeping a lot of thematic elements from the first game, but then just carrying that over into our own vision.
So tell us a little bit about what you were presenting today to the audience.
Mike and I today talked about how building an open world game now is very challenging because the bar is set so high with action games. And trying to build an open world game, you have to take that bar across into what you're doing and say, how do we keep people engaged? How do we keep them interested? And the cool thing about Hong Kong, as we mentioned, is the expectation for great fighting and great gunplay is there. You've got people looking for that. The challenge is what we talked about, which is figuring out how you take that subject matter, the cool Hong Kong action mechanics, Hong Kong itself, and work that into an open world game. And that's what we went through, are the challenges around bringing that design to life.
New True Crime follows the story of a man called Wei Shen. He's an undercover cop. He was born in Hong Kong, because that's where the game is set. Heads over to the States for family reasons when he's younger, where he does his schooling and joins the police academy there. And then for personal and professional reasons, heads back over to Hong Kong, where he's selected to join the undercover group. And his job at that point is to infiltrate a specific triad organization, the Sun On Yi Triad, and get close to a number of individuals there to help his undercover handlers take them down. True Crime, the New True Crime, it's a complete reboot of the franchise. So we went back to the drawing board with and investigated sort of the things that we really wanted to do differently from the other two True Crimes. At the core of it, it was very inspired by Hong Kong cinema action movies. Probably the two which sort of come to mind the most are Infernal Affairs and the Triad Election movies. The core of the game for us really started with On Foot. We developed a free-running system which is more ground-based than a lot of the free-running systems that you see in superhero games. You're not scaling buildings and so on, but we have a martial arts style melee system which is quite deep for an open world experience. There's a lot of offensive and defensive capabilities, a full counter system, a full grapple system, and lots of cool interaction with the environment. And then a shooting model which allows both like sort of a lock and a free aim system. We wanted to focus more on a driving model which was very easy to pick up and play, very action oriented, again, inspired by Hong Kong cinema action. So, our model it's quite an arcadey model. It's probably inspired by games like Burnout and Need for Speed, as opposed to some of the other more simmy models out there. It is an open world game. Obviously, we need a world that's full of stuff to do, that's rich. There's tons of events, there's tons of side missions, there's tons of mini games. You can purchase things from stores to like upgrade the clothing on your character. There's massage parlors that you can go to. There's more than enough there so that the world is very fleshed out at any point in time for you to do pretty much anything you want. You get to play as an undercover cop in an open world setting and have some of the most amazing action components available to you that you will have yet seen in an open world environment. True Crime will be released for PC, PS3 and Xbox 360 and it will launch fall 2010.
Music is what I know and technology is what I need. So I figured I'd better be on that truck. So True Crime is like actually my official entryway into this sector.
Hong Kong is not geo-mapped like LA and New York were. This is really tuned for gameplay, and it's the first True Crime on a next-gen platform. So we're really pushing a lot of PEDs in there. It's a very dense city, so we've got great motorcycle gameplay. We've got great chasing gameplay. You can blast through crowds and kind of these intense cop chases. It's Hong Kong, so we've got incredible martial arts in there. Crazy weapons like cleavers and stuff like that, because that's kind of what the triads actually use. So we've gone back, to the beginning and thought, what makes a great open world action title? Found a great place to have it, and then brought across, kung fu, triads, the undercover cop movie tradition, and really rolled all up into our new True Crime.
Now, why a reboot of True Crime instead of just a new game or a new series?
Well, there's so many things that were kind of cool 10, 15 years ago, but they wouldn't be as cool if you did them now. And you look back, Star Trek last summer was awesome, reimagining that. Batman being rebooted, the Bond movies being rebooted. So, it just felt like, it's the people who loved those things 10, 15 years ago, they've matured, let's give them something new, and then for new gamers, it would feel wrong to do something that was cool 10 years ago. So that's the decision. It's just felt right to really go back and think about this from the ground up.
Now, in the past, we have seen a lot of cop games, and we just had Dead to Rights was just rebooted again. Yeah. So what is it about True Crime that's going to introduce new elements we haven't seen done before?
Well, we really want this to be a AAA open world game, and we've looked at what makes for those AAA urban open world games, and it really starts with the character. And our character, Wei Shen, our undercover detective, we're trying to make him sympathetic. We're trying to make him a real person so that you care about this guy in the story. Our closest competitors, and you guys know who I'm talking about, they make such great character-driven stories. So, this isn't a packaging of a bunch of cliches about kung fu and triads and Big Trouble in Little China, which would be an awesome game, but this is about trying to find a character who people like and can identify with, and really basing it all around his story. And the island itself is such a cool place in real life. We went there. We had a writer spend, I think he's been there for almost 2 months, throughout the course of the project, and really try to do justice to what Hong Kong is about, what the triads are about, what it's like to be an undercover cop there, and really base it in something that is super cool to begin with, and then you add this layer of kind of action movie, action game on top of it, and it just takes it to a whole other level.
You mentioned the lead character, you want him to be likable and like the everyman. Please tell me you're not using Nolan North.
No, we're not. Wei Shen, he's born in Hong Kong, went to San Francisco because of sort of a family tragedy, and has come back to Hong Kong as a young guy, goes undercover to deal with something personal that you don't find out until later in the story.
Most important question. In all the advertisements for this game, I'm seeing a lot of pole dancers. Are there going to be pole dancers in this game? There better be.
There's going to be some amazing female talent in the game of all varieties. There's dateable girls, which is really cool. We've got some great star talent who are voicing those characters, which is amazing. And there's gorgeous girls in these clubs you can interact with our social system. And yeah, it's just we wanted to make that a big part of the experience.
One last question: the dateable girls, are they going to be calling us constantly, like in GTA 4?
No, they will not be annoying. But these girls are pretty amazing actresses who we've got to voice them. So you may want them calling you. Yeah.
Maybe. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for taking time with us.
My pleasure.
Thanks for being with us. It's been a while since we've seen True Crime. How many years?
It's supposed to be about 5 years, actually.
That's quite a long
5 years
time.
since True Crime New York City, and a lot more since True Crime LA.
So how did you guys come to work on the series, and what's your background, and really how did you get to this project?
Well, United Front Games started in 2007, and at that point in time, Activision wanted to reboot True Crime. You know, it was a time for a new game, a new gen of consoles, and they met with us, and you know, a bunch of us had come from EA, working on Need for Speed and Godfather and Skate, a bunch of guys from Rockstar, guys from Radical who'd work on Hulk and Prototype and Scarface. We had this amazing team of guys ready to build an open world game, and we really started from there. And the thing that they told us was, you have carte blanche, you can create something entirely new, you can reboot it, just make sure the main guy is a cop. And that's where we've gone. We put him in Hong Kong, because we learned that The Departed, a movie about an undercover cop, was inspired by Infernal Affairs. It was a Hong Kong cinema movie. We thought, take a great story, you know, like that, and you add the Hong Kong kung fu, the action, and you kind of mix Hong Kong action cinema and Hong Kong drama, and that's what we're trying to do here.
Well, the setup certainly sounds impressive. I mean, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the footage that you brought along and just hit A and kick it off there.
You got it.
So tell me what we're going to see right now.
Well, so far, both at GDC and here at E3, we were showing people a lot of one particular neighborhood, which is really more based off Kowloon. So it's a little grungier. What you're seeing here is these are the other neighborhoods in our world. It's a big, Hong Kong is an island, it's a big place. Here's a view into downtown during the day. There's a lot of different areas you're going to see during the game. Things people haven't seen yet in an open world game. First open world game in Hong Kong, one of the first in Asia, of course, besides a few others, but first one in Hong Kong. So we want to show people how unique that place is. You know, it's under British rule for a long time, so there's enough similarity. You know, the street signs are in English, the road signs are in Cantonese and English, that people will be able to not feel too unfamiliar with it.
It's really refreshing to see this footage, because I think a lot of what people have seen so far is at night with the neon, sort of the same thing over and over again.
That's right.
Exactly, and this is really cool. We see that the game is a lot more expansive than just those nighttime city scenes.
Yeah, we've got, you know, a full day-night cycle. We've got weather. We've got lots of different neighborhoods. You're looking here at sort of a Aberdeen Harbor area. This is Soho, an expat bar district. There's karaoke mini games. We're really trying to create an incredible sandbox, and what you've seen so far with the Kowloon flavored area is just one district, but there is a lot more.
Cool. So another thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is the combat.
Yeah.
Maybe you can give us an overview of what the combat's going to be like. Now, we know True Crime is about shooting.
Yeah.
But what else is it about?
Well, it's about a lot more than shooting this time around. You know, I talked about the Hong Kong action cinema. What we wanted you to feel like with this was a Hong Kong action film star. And so often in open world game, you get out of the car and you feel like you're kind of stuck in the mud. You know, the punching feels very like Rock'em Sock'em Robots. What we wanted to do here was make it feel like a Jet Li film or a Tony Jaa film, where you're an incredibly dynamic character. You can move around the environment, and besides, you know, strikes and counters and directional attacks, you can use the environment against your enemies too. You can put a guy into a fan, or you can, you know, put a guy into a fish tank and drown him. You can throw a guy off a roof. You know, there's just a ton of stuff in the sandbox that we want to let you use in combat. So it's not just an open world sandbox, we want it to be kind of a combat sandbox too.
How has it been balancing this really like strong combat aspect with the open world game? Because I know that those are two things that don't always play nice together.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's tough, but we want to really be the game that people say they delivered an awesome story, they had a great looking world, it felt like Hong Kong, and man, the character mechanics were something I haven't played before in an urban open world game. And it's tough, and especially trying to create those action movie moments. What we've had to do is certain times when you're on a more linear mission, we want it to feel like those action movies. We've decreased things in the sandbox. We've turned the ambient head population down, or we've turned the police off, or something like that, so that you can get kind of a more linear experience.
And you mentioned a little bit, you said there's going to be some karaoke mini games.
Yeah, there's, you know, we've got a great lineup of musical talent. You know, Pharrell was announced this week. He's helping us out with the soundtrack. He'll also play a character in the game. And you kind of put that together with karaoke. You can kind of guess there's some cool stuff that we're doing. There's karaoke, there's gambling mini games, and there's a ton of cop mini games too that are, there's surveillance, safe cracking. There's just a ton of stuff in there. We're really trying to make a lot of stuff in the sandbox, as well as the more linear story stuff I talked about.
Well, it sounds like you've got a great setting going for you, and it just wouldn't be an open world game without all of those little things spread around it.
That's right.
So good luck to you. I can't wait to see the game in more complete
Dave.
form. Thanks for being with us.
Today, I get some wonderful little news. At first, it's a rumor that Activision is canceling True Crime Hong Kong and Guitar Hero. I was like, nah, no way, it's a rumor, Upon further investigation, I found out that these rumors are true. And in fact, True Crime Hong Kong has been canceled. I was curious to why this was, and I went to look for an explanation, and here's what I found. Quote unquote. These decisions are based on the desire to focus on the greatest opportunities that the company currently has to create the world's best interactive entertainment experiences. That's very interesting. So playing as a dirty cop isn't an interactive, entertaining experience, Activision? True Crime was a horrible series that obviously doesn't deserve a reboot because True Crime New York had poor sales? So what interactive experience are you focusing on? Oh, Call of Duty. Right. See, I figured you would can this piece of shit. I figured that. But True Crime? You know how many people were looking forward to this game? We're gonna can it because of poor sales from the last one, and we need to have better interactive, entertaining experiences for our people. This is why you guys fucking suck. I knew this was gonna happen. Years ago when I stated that you guys were gonna try to transform gaming into something it's not. You're gonna cut a good game because we need a better interactive entertainment experience to push out there. I sure hope Bungie comes with a great game because all you fucking got now is Call of Duty. Congratulations, Activision. You just fucked yourself.
He is the head, he is the face of Activision, and he is gonna fucking pay! Fucking Johnny!
Activision has canceled True Crime. They stopped production on it. I read about this just about 5 minutes ago on IGN.com. They stopped production for this and Guitar Hero also. While I'm talking, anybody that wants to see this game come to life, could you please send a letter or write an email to Activision. I don't know exactly what their mailing address or email address is. You can probably go online and find out. But if you want to see this game made, could you please send them letters? Maybe it'll help them get the point across that a shit ton of people have been looking forward to this game, like myself. I mean, ever since the second game, I've wanted a third game. Like, the second game was great, except it was laggy and glitchy. And if it had been polished, it would have been what it was expected to be. But it was a great game. And this game was supposed to be what made the first two great, add to it, and polish it. That's what this was going to be. This was going to be a great game. And this game was actually finished, but they've delayed it so they can polish it and make it as great as they want it to be. But this game was basically done, and it was gonna release in June, and now they just fucking cancel it. And you know what? I would not be a bit surprised if they canceled it so they could probably make room for another company they want to bring in that's specifically gonna work on Call of Duty. I would not be the least bit fucking surprised. And I read a quote on IGN that said they canceled the game because, I quote, it just wasn't going to be good enough. It's like, how the fuck do they know that? Did they go on YouTube or go to any of the pages, the fan-made pages, and look to see all the great comments of people, you know, not being able to wait for this game to come out and how pissed people were that it was delayed twice? I mean, do they honestly not look at this crap?
A while back, a lot of you may know about my rant towards Activision when they decided to cancel True Crime Hong Kong when it was almost near completion. A full game was just taken off because they didn't want to suffer poor sales, basically, due to the last game that came out. So, anyway, a long time has passed since then, a couple of months, and True Crime Hong Kong looked like a great game. It looked like it was going to be a very fun game. And today we are blessed with the news that True Crime Hong Kong will return. It is still being developed by the same people, but it will be published by Square Enix. Square Enix has acquired the rights to publish the True Crime game. However, they have not acquired the IP for True Crime, the True Crime IP, I mean. And basically that means they can't use the True Crime name, and they're basically in the process of renaming the game. So who knows what they'll name it.
I had hoped that you might have escaped Hong Kong. Escape these influences, these problems.
It seems that the evidence against you has failed to appear. You must be a very dangerous man, Wei Shen. That is exactly what we want people to think.
What the fuck? They finally deport your ass from the United States?
It was mutual. Time I came home anyway.
Our intel suggests that Winston is looking for muscle. You need to find a way to make him trust you.
So, you fearless? Which is crazy.
Try capable.
To bring down the Sun On Yi, we have to take down the people who support them. We want the Red Poles, the lieutenants, and most of all, the Dragonhead.
Feels like the game has changed. Yeah, well, this is the life we chose. There's a civil war brewing in Sun On Yi. Used to be a brotherhood. It was a code.
You know what happens to rats, Wei? You come in out of nowhere and suddenly our guys start to get arrested?
That's the attitude that makes us strong. Loyalty, discretion. Used to be more common. cops. There are rules.
You're a cop. I am an undercover cop. The rules are different.
The new title of the game is Sleeping Dogs. The biggest difference is basically the title. It's the same game that we've been working on for the last 4 years. We did manage to take a bit of time and work with Square to really look at the game and look at the strengths of the game and really refocus our efforts. But overall, it's the same content and same vision we've had since the beginning. Just given the context of our storyline, being an undercover cop in the Triad, we knew that we had to make the violence authentic as well. The main character's name is Wei Shen, and it's basically a coming back to the neighborhood story on a personal level for him, but it's also an assignment for him where he has to actually go undercover into this lethal Triad organization. So the main character is basically balancing both his personal and professional demons in order to get the job done. Square has given us a lot of feedback on our core mechanics, on the kind of the storyline. They have a lot of resources with focus group testing and whatnot. So we've been able to really see what a wide array of gamers gets out of this game, which has really helped to allow us to fine tune and polish the game to really create the experience that kind of caters to the core essence of the game.
Oh shit!
First and foremost, we knew that to do a game in Hong Kong, we really had to do our research. So we've done quite a few trips. We've taken tens of thousands of photographs, a lot of interviews. We actually have people, contacts, living in Hong Kong, where we can get a lot of accurate information out of. Being a kind of serious action crime thriller, it was really important to us that we paid close attention to the authenticity of the world and also just kind of celebrate what makes it such a unique setting for an open world game. I think the fact that it's set in Hong Kong, which gave birth to a lot of, amazing action films out there, we knew that we just kind of had to go all in and really embrace the wide array of mechanics that we would need to do this story and theme justice. So we put a lot of effort and resources into all the core mechanics, and also from the beginning really wanted to make sure that they all fit well together, so that it was kind of this seamless sandbox. We like to kind of call it a violent sandbox, where we actually take a lot of those core mechanics that you typically would only see in linear action games and really bring that into the open world experience and really kind of craft our entire mission structure and all of our secondary activities kind of around this very Twitch-based sandbox structure.
Call the rest of the boys. I need them here.
We have influences from all over. Being an open world game, we knew that this game would cater to a lot of people that wouldn't necessarily play combat-oriented games. So we really needed to make it as accessible as possible and really make the player feel, like kind of over-the-top martial arts action hero. So we didn't really want the player to be fumbling about with complex control schemes and stuff like that. We just really wanted to make it all very intent-based, really have that kind of kind of improvisational feel that you would get in, say, like a Jackie Chan or a Jet Li movie, where if you see something or you see an opportunity, just it's kind of up to your own creativity as to how you will dispatch enemies.
One of the things which fascinated us about the Triads was just how ingrained they were, in society. They're not just the thugs that you see at street level. These are, they're policemen, they're bankers, they're lawyers. It's a way of life in Hong Kong. So, you can start out, you always have the idealistic, kind of hero. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to make a difference, I'm going to change the world. But I think part and parcel of going undercover and experiencing that moral grayness, there isn't a right, there isn't a wrong. And that's part of the hero's journey. That's part of him discovering more about himself and where he comes out the other end. So obviously the cancellation of True Crime at the time was devastating to the studio. You pour so many years of your life into working on something, and then you just see it go. But I think we all believed in what we were making. We kept the core team together. We we managed to keep everyone that we wanted to, like, on the project. And, when Square Enix London Studios came around and, with their past experience, and they picked up the game and they loved it. And, we knew that we had a partner in them that, we could put the game out together. Making open world games is incredibly hard, and you have to be surrounded by the right people. And that's, people that share a common vision, that, share a common strategy. And I think, while that might not have been the case with Activision, it's definitely the case with Square. And, I think everyone's going to benefit from that relationship. I personally love the name. It comes from the proverb, "Let sleeping dogs lie." And it goes to the heart of that undercover story, that guy caught in a very stressful, tense situation that, the wrong thing could set him off, and you might want to avoid that. So I think it works with the game. It brings something fresh and something new to the game, and the game was never made as a true crime game. That was a name that was just applied to it. So this actually probably puts it, more squarely into the territory that was intended. Face is one of the central components of the game. It's in effect one of the things which you collect, like as you go through the game. And it's you do this, you get face, you gain face. It might be linked to combat in some ways by the moves that you pull off. If they are spectacular in nature, you get like a boost on your face combat meter. This unlocks like a whole bunch of new moves, which were previously hidden to you, and give you different upgrades. But it's also pervasive throughout the open world. So your face, there are different levels of face throughout the game, and depending on what level you're at, you may or may not be able to talk to people, and these people may have information for you, they may have quests, side quests for you to do, all kinds of things of that nature. So it's ingrained throughout the experience, and as a player, you're going to have to build up that face, to see everything. What's built into the game is a scoring system where you get cop points or triad points at the end of each mission, and that very much is based on how you act in there. So the less brutal things you do, the more humane you are, you'll get more cop points, and the more brutal you are, you get more triad points. At the end of the day, you can spend those points against upgrades, so it does impact your gameplay experience. It's a linear story. There is no, there is no opportunity or option to break combat, and really that came down to us, wanting to deliver a fantastic cinematic experience where, it's an open world game, but on the other side, there's a story that if you just played through the story from beginning to end, you're going to get that same feel, that same thrill, that same experience from any great undercover cop movie. Fans of Hong Kong cinema action, whether you're a fan or not, as a kid, you know who Bruce Lee is, you know who Jackie Chan is, you know most likely who Jet Li is, who Chow Yun Fat is, like these guys are amazing, in terms of what their capabilities are. And as far as it being relatable, you just look at MMA, for example, right? Like one of the fastest growing sports in the world, and how many people love that. So there's a strong crossover appeal in terms of people wanting to feel like a martial arts star. You place that in Hong Kong, which it has that East-West fusion, so it's not completely alien to a Western audience, but it's new, it's exciting, it's fresh. There's a lot of interesting things to explore. And I think it's a great recipe, for people to experience something new and something different.
On top of the damn game, doing the damn thing, busting the booty up out of the damn frame. Moved on. You say you do anything, I need you to be doing it all. Doing the yard while I'm doing these brawls. Keep doing the most from coast to coast, you know me. Not to be loving hoes and bitches ain't good for me. The only nigga that done fuck this whole block, and bitches keep coming back because they love it a lot. No need to ask questions or words where I stand. I do what the fuck I want, I'm a grown ass man, bitches. You know.
I hit it quick like weed in the brick. Dip to these chicks, beats flow through the click. Come on, don't stop. Flows for dumb shit, tracks for assholes who seen my hassle. It's a sick life. No, I ain't through. And a 50-year run on your bombs.